Okay, awesome. So we are live. Hey everyone,
Hey
welcome,
everyone.
welcome. Hey everyone. So it has been a long time for a live stream, and we are trying to be consistent with it, and we'll see more and more live stream in future. Today I have Harshita. Thank you so much for joining, Harshita. Would you like to tell us more about you?
Yeah, thank you so much, Nancy, for having me. Hello everyone. My name is Harshita Saab, and I'm an engineering student, and I'm also comms lead for 1.27 release cycle, and I'm also a CNCF ambassador.
Wow, that's a small introduction, but I would like to add it over this. Like I got to know about Harshita a few months back, and she's a release comms lead, and I'm a release shadow, so I'm learning a lot from her. And I think, and that was the whole motive of this live stream, that we will get to know more about release shadow program, what exactly it is. Yeah, and I think Harshita is the best person to tell us about it, like what exactly is release shadow program, because a lot of folks, they keep asking me. And the reason that I also applied for the shadow program was I wanted to just start contributing to Kubernetes. And I think every contribution matters, whether it's a contribution to the doc, code, or communication, or helping folks. So I just started with the Release Shadow program, which I got to know from our Discord community itself, which is Women in Cloud Native. So that's how I applied, and that's how I got to know and I met Harshita. So, Harshita, I'm really excited for this live stream. Would you tell us more about Release Shadow program?
Yeah, let me share my screen. Is it visible?
Yeah, so I'm just adding it to the screen. I think it's visible. Yeah, Harshita, we can see your screen. I think we can get started.
Yeah.
Hey, Harshita, we are not able to hear you. Are you there?
Page.
Yeah, I think we are not able to hear you
Is it
properly.
live?
Yeah. Hey, Harshita, are you there? I think there's some issue in the internet.
Is it working now? I'm confused.
Uh, yeah, I think I can hear you.
And is my screen visible?
Yes, it is visible. So finally, yeah.
Great. So, as I've introduced myself, I am an engineering student and I am also comms lead for Kubernetes 1.27 release cycle, and I'm also CNCF ambassador. And currently, I'm learning DevOps and the CNCF ecosystem and contributing to various open source projects. So, let's first understand what the Release Shadow program is. As the release cycle runs for 14 weeks, so it's a voluntary time commitment for 14 weeks. So make sure that you can have the time commitment and the effort commitment before you sign up for the shadow program. And then it being in the release team gives you a great exposure to typical release process. You get to know more about the release process and how things work in the release in an open source project. And obviously, it's an opportunity for you to learn more about the Kubernetes project. As being in the release team, you touch the different areas of the Kubernetes project and you get all the technical knowledge of it. And it's also a mentorship opportunity for you because as being a shadow, you work under a sub team lead. So you get that lead as a mentor, and you get to know about all the work that's going on in that sub team, and you can ask all the questions to your mentor, to your lead. But what this k8s release shadow program is not. So it's not a coding or documentation internship. Like we have GSOC and NFX mentorship with the Kubernetes project. So this is not a coding or documentation internship. It's just a mentorship opportunity for you. And also, it is not the only way for you to get started with the Kubernetes community, with contributing to Kubernetes project. The shadow program is very competitive as we get almost more than 150 applications for 30 roles. So it's not like you have this only opportunity for getting started in the Kubernetes project. You can go through Kubernetes project, and it is a vast project, and it is divided in different six being the special interest groups. You can check out all the six and uh, go through the six and check out the one that you are interested in and start contributing over there. We have folks that are very helpful in the community. You can ask questions and get started with your contributions. The release team. So the release team comes under the SIG release, and the release team and the release engineering is responsible for doing all the hard work and making sure and producing a very successful release. There are three release cycles happening in a year, and each release cycle is for 14 weeks. And this is the pictorial representation of the release team. We have Emirates Advisor, who is the member of release team and who's an experienced member of release team, and which has returned to the release team in an advisory role. Then we have different verticals and different sub team. Each sub team has it as a role lead, and the verticals you can see is the shadows. Shadows basically are the lead helpers. They help the lead in whatever way required, and the shadows in the process and throughout the release, they learn about the sub team and understand what work needs to be done, being a part of that sub team. And one of the shadow at the end of the release cycle is promoted to being the sub team lead for the next release cycle. Now, how do you become a shadow? So for you to become a shadow, you have to uh, fill out the shadow application form, and you can choose one or more sub team that you are interested in. Now the release team roles, the sub teams. So I'm going to be giving a very top overview about the sub teams. So we have release lead. Release lead is responsible for making sure a smooth and a successful release. Then we have enhancement team. So enhancement folks are start working very early in the release cycle, and they track and shepherd the enhancement who has opted in that current release. The It's not like the enhancement is just going to be active at the very start of the release cycle. They are active throughout the release cycle, but it's just that they are very busy at the start of the release cycle. On the other hand, the comms team is is busy at the end of the release cycle. Then CI signal team. So the CI signal folks work with the tracking board, and they track all the test flakes and the failures. Then we have bug triage team. So the bug triage team, they track the open PRs and the issues, and they make sure that there is no release blocker throughout the release cycle. Then we have docs team. The docs team makes sure that all the tracked enhancement have proper documentation so that the end users can go through that documentation and understand the feature and the enhancement. Then we have release notes team. The release note teams generate release notes during the release cycle. And then we have the comms team. The comms team deals with the communication aspects of the release cycle and like the webinars and blogs which goes out at the end of the release. And they are also responsible for writing the release blog which goes out at the day of the release. Now, who is eligible? So, anyone interested, whether you are a student or a working professional, you can just go ahead and sign up for the shadow application program. Just make sure that you can give that time commitment and effort commitment, and you can apply for it. Here, you do not have to have a prior experience of a release process, or you do not need to have a coding expertise, or also you don't need to have a knowledge of Kubernetes. Although having knowledge of Kubernetes is good to have, but it is not a prerequisite. Now, how to get involved? So, to become a shadow, you have to fill out the shadow application form, which generally goes out on the start of the before the start of the release cycle. And you can also join the SIG release channel in the Kubernetes Slack. There you will get all the information about when the new release cycle is starting, when the shadow application form is opening, and what is the current status of the release that is going on. You can also join the release team meetings. So we have release team meetings every week when we start the release cycle, and we are very happy to have new folks joining us. There you can learn about the release team, how the release team meeting goes, and what are the sub teams that we have, how they work, and what's their update. You can also get more information about SIG release. You can check out the Kubernetes/SIG release repo for that. Talking about my journey, I started contributing to Kubernetes project in April 2022, and I started with non-code contributions. There, I contributed to docs and I also contributed to Kubernetes website. And then I got to know about this shadow application program, and I applied for it and got selected as Bug Triage Shadow for 1.25 release cycle, which was at that time led the bug triage was led by Heba, and I got to learn so many new stuff and learn so many new things and work with awesome peoples. Then I again applied for 1.26 and worked as comms shadow under Federico, and I got to learn about all the comms work and how the feature blocks are arranged, dragged, and stuff. And then I got the opportunity to serve as comms lead for 1.27 release cycle, which is still going. So being a lead is having so much responsibility as compared to shadows, but you have to give your proper time commitment and effort commitment, and then you will get the result. Well, thank you for listening.
Okay, I was muted. That was amazing, Harshita. Kind of short
Thank
and
you.
to the point. So we have like so many questions. Let me just put one by one. So we have a
Okay.
question by Faith. How many openings for applications do they have in a year? Honestly, I even don't know the answer for this. Do you
Like
know?
for shadow position,
I think she is asking for shadow position.
so there are like maximum 30 openings.
Okay, so 13 as in like the whole
30, 30, 30.
3-0. Okay,
Yeah.
3-0. So is it like equally divided between all the teams? The
Yes,
comms.
as we have six role leads, so each get maximum 4 to 5 shadows, like that.
Awesome, awesome. So we have a next question by Akansha. Where can I find that form? I think you've mentioned about it in the
Yeah,
presentation,
about
but maybe,
correct.
yeah.
You can join SIG release channel, or you can also check out the Twitter handle of Kubernetes. You will get the notification when the shadow forms are opening.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think also my suggestion is that because this is how I got to know about it, I think being connected with communities around cloud native as well help, and
Yeah,
also
correct.
the folks who are actively contributing. Like I guess like first time I got to know about a lot of Kubernetes things by Nikita. one when I attended one of the conference in 2019, 2020 something. And then this year when we started Women in Cloud Native Community, someone posted, because we are so much in work that we kind of miss these things.
Yeah,
And
that's correct.
if we see any post or someone just notifies about it that hey, there's a form, it helps. So someone
Yeah,
posted about it in the community, in Women in Cloud Native Community, and that's how I got to know. Yeah, I think Carol posted about it, and that's how I got to know that okay, this is
yeah,
happening. And the same happened with the CNCF ambassador
CF
forms.
ambassador.
Yeah. So I think just being connected with communities really help, and being connected
That's
with the
correct.
post. Yeah, yeah.
You get to
So
know about so many opportunities because we miss out the opportunities being in work or something.
yeah, exactly. So yeah, and also I think you have mentioned in the presentation that join the Kubernetes Slack group. It really does help. And so here's the Slack group link, kubernetes.slack.com. You can also join the CNCF Slack group. That also
That
helps.
also helps. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I remember. I think this is something which I want to ask from you, Harshita. Like earlier, when I was a student, I used to think that only way to contribute is to code, and but I used to really love creating content and blogs. And then once I created there's a Tecton, which is a project in CNCF, and I created a blog because I was a DevOps engineer, and then I was trying out something with Tecton, and then I created a blog, and it was acknowledged by a lot of people and appreciated, and I posted in the group. And that's how I got to know, okay, this also matters. I mean, the documentation. And I think Release Shadow program is all about it. So according to
Yeah.
you, Harshita, what is the importance of contributions like these, which are not to the core code, but this?
So when I started in Kubernetes project, I didn't know much about coding. I was learning coding at that time. So I thought let's start with non-code contribution, and I started with website contribution and docs contribution, and there I got to know like these contributions are very important because you can code and people also need to know about the project, and for that they need to have a documentation so that they can read and understand what the project is. And for me, when Kunal Kushwaha started that blogging competition, I also participated in that. And from there, I mostly started the non-code contributions. And also, it is because non-code contributions are like very important because people need to know about the project, and then only they can start in the project and start contributing to it. So first they have to know about the project and then only they can start
Yeah.
the website that is there.
Yeah. So, just I'm sorry for interfering, Harshita. We are actually losing you, maybe because of the internet issue. Yeah, yeah. I think meanwhile, I can just mention this that what Harshita mentioned is really great, that these contributions are really important to run a project. I mean, I can share my experience as a release shadow, and Harshita is the lead in the same team, and I'm the shadow. So at that moment, I realized that it is super important, like each kind of contribution. For example, if there are release notes which have to be released, we need people, we need help in that process so that we can communicate about it. I mean, the hard work which so many people have done building the features, we need help who can communicate about those features in the form of release notes, blogs, or who can just even coordinate amongst itself, because Kubernetes is a huge Slack community. So, a huge community. So I guess these things are really important. If we can help in the documentation, if we can help in the release notes, or we can help in triage, or the CI/CD, if we can help in the CI/CD pipelines and some contribution to that. So I guess like when it comes to contribution, there's a huge ecosystem, and I think Harshita, the diagram
Yeah.
which you have mentioned in the PPT, it just describes that there's a huge ecosystem where you can come and start contributing. Yeah, I think Harshita, is your net back now? You can continue.
I
Yeah,
think,
yeah, it's good. It's good. So yeah, do you want to add something else over the to it? Like you were telling about the contributions, the
yeah,
no
that's
code.
what I was saying. Yeah, that's what I was saying, that it is very important for a project to maintain and to grow, because only with these known core contributions we we tell the community and the people and the end users that what the project is about and how it's working, and so that people can also start coding contributions in it.
Yeah, yeah, awesome. So Harshita, just question, like once you become a shadow, do you have any suggestions from your end that uh, how actually there are two things. One, for the person who wants to be a shadow, who aspires to be a shadow, do you have some suggestions for them? And once you have become a shadow, then what would be your suggestion?
For becoming a shadow, I will say that previous contribution in Kubernetes project helps, but it's not going to guarantee you that you are going to get selected as a shadow. I think it depends on which sub team you are interested in and you have applied, and what qualifications you have. And then for becoming from shadow to lead, uh, it's the amount of time that you have to give, the time commitment and the effort commitment. So do all your work, all the responsibility that you are given, and the time commitment, and you will get the result.
Awesome. So is lead someone already chosen by the Kubernetes committee, or do you have to apply for becoming a lead?
No, it's with the end of the release cycle, from all the shadows that we have, the lead chooses what as the upcoming lead for that sub
Okay.
team.
Okay. Wow. That's really amazing, Harshita. I think you pretty much simplified everything. We don't have any other questions in the chat. Um, yeah, we don't have any other questions. Do you have something else to end, or do you
Uh,
have something else to add?
you can tell us about your experience being a comms shadow.
That's a good question. So I think it's a very important job, and I think with comms lead is it's much more difficult, as you are there, Harshita. So I think to manage different things together, like your job and then your contribution, is a big thing. And then I just want to say that hats off to the people who actually find out time after their job to, and I think they're really passionate people who are contributing, like because they're really finding out time to contribute. So it is a tough job, and it's a commendable job for all the contributors who are doing it. This is something which I realized being a shadow. And I the second thing I could realize that what's the importance of every role, like the comms and enhancement and triage. This is something which I could understand, so I could understand the community dynamics, at the with the community dynamics, which is super important, so that you can respect each other's work. So this is something I could understand. So this is something which is on the softer skills. But when it comes to the technical part, I think because as Harshita already mentioned in the PPT during the presentation, that when you are actually working in the release team, you get to see the bigger picture of what's happening in the code and in the whole Kubernetes architecture. So it's one of the best way to get started if you have to in future contribute to the code, so that you can check. For example, if you're writing the documentation, then you will get to know about the internals. Even in the comms team, you will get to know that what's happening, what kind of PRs are happening, what kind of features are there. So yeah, I mean that's the technical part of it. Yeah. So do you have something else to add, Harshita? What's your say on it? What did you learn as a lead? Yeah.
I would say that any student that is there, they can just start contributing to open source, and whether it is code or non-code contribution, and that will be very helpful for your career, and you will go ahead.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. And I think with open source, you really learn to collaborate with each other. I mean, there are so many things which you learn. Like
That,
technically,
yeah,
you work on a bigger scale. I mean, Kubernetes is it's a huge ecosystem. So you get to work on a
yes.
huge. scale, and you get to collaborate with really amazing folks. So it's a
That's
win-win, I
correct.
guess. Yeah. Yeah, totally. Thank you so much, Harshita. I don't think we have any other questions in the chat.
Thank you
And
so much.
yeah, if someone has questions, if someone is watching this video after the stream, maybe the recorded version, where should they contact you?
You can contact me on Twitter. My Twitter handle is at the red Harshita Sao 09.
I think we again lost you, but I guess we could hear the Twitter handle. Yeah, and obviously, like the Kubernetes Slack,
Yeah,
that's where we can connect you. Yeah, awesome, awesome. So, also, I would just like to end this. If you are interested to know more about the updates, because we keep discussing about these things, so you can join Women in Cloud Native, where we like to help each other, support each other, and work with each other. Like that's how Harshita and we got connected. So
correct.
this is yeah. So this is the as you can see that womeninCloudNative.com is the website, and there you will find the Discord group, so you can always join that. And at the rate She Cloud Native is the Twitter handle, so you can also follow us to know about the updates and anything new which is happening in the ecosystem of Cloud Native. So yeah, that is it. Thank you so much, Harshita, for joining us today.
Thank you so much, Nancy.
Okay, thank you so much, everyone, for watching us, and bye bye.